Hello, my family. Today is going to be kind of interesting here on the homestead. As you can see in the background, we're going to be playing with some stuff that ain't normally seen on here. I am literally looking forward to this one. I have two types of mustard. Now, you all know that I'm pretty much a different type of person anyways, even as far as a homesteader, so this is no different. I am very particular at the kind of foods that I prefer and I like, yet I share with you just in case there's somebody else who has kind of sort of the same palate that I make. I'm not really fond of just plain old mustard. I gotta have, I don't know, flavor or any kind of something than just plain bland. Now, although yellow mustard has its purpose, I prefer Dijon. And I like the stone ground mustards and things like that. So you can imagine my excitement when I was going through my canning book and realized that I can make my own Dijon mustard. And this time of year is fall, so how about some Oktoberfest beer mustard, which is about the same category as you would a stone ground. Now, I made Dijon last year, and I'm going to tell y'all, I have 4 4-ounce jars left. I had over 24, and they're gone. They didn't even actually make it a year because December was when I made those, so they are absolutely delicious. I love them in making and preparing sandwiches or hors d'oeuvres, marinades for meat, and I use my Dijon for everything. So I'm going to go ahead and try. I wanted to try it last year, but I didn't get to. I'm going to try it this year. And I'm also going to try the Oktoberfest. Both of these recipes are in the Ball Canning book. One is under the Complete Book of Home Preserving, and the other is Canning and Preserving, if you can see these books. So we're going to use these, and they can be water bath cans, y'all. What we are using, and I'll have to go do this, is find up a bunch of my little jars. We are using 4-ounce jars, and it's not very hard. There is waiting time. Now, the Dijon, we are going to prepare that on the video today because this one does not get actually made up or canned till tomorrow. That one needs at least 24 hours to set up and cure whatever it needs to do, where the Oktoberfest only needs 2 hours. So we are going to work on the Oktoberfest, yet at the same time I'm going to take you through the steps of Dijon, all the way up until, which that will be verbally, what happens afterwards. So, and in the same sense, the two work together. So if this is making any sense, I don't want to confuse you. Working on the Oktoberfest will give you the basic idea that when it's ready to make Dijon, you'll know exactly what to do. So along with that, even though these are long and process, I am going to add in the description box both recipes and instructions on how to make both of these mustards, just in case there does happen to be somebody who likes that robust flavor like I do. Now, I will be using a dark mustard seed. Now, that is for the Oktoberfest. You can, however, use the dark mustard seed also for Dijon. It'll just leave a darker color. I had noticed, and I'm going to go get a jar of my own. Last year, let me get a jar and show you what happened when I used what was suggested in the recipe. Okay, so this is last year's Dijon mustard. Y'all, this is fantastic though. The flavor is, oh my goodness. And the longer it sits, the better it tastes, honestly. And I will get into all that. You really want to let this sit for a couple weeks before even touching it after everything is even processed and put on your shelf. So I'm going to forewarn you, because in the beginning, I'm going to tell you, even in the beginning of this, it did not taste very well. It did take time to set up, cure, and marry those flavors, and then it was absolutely fantastic. I can't get enough of this. But this recipe in the canning book called for a yellow mustard, and that is exactly what I did. Sometimes you cannot find this at the grocery store. It depends on what store you go to. Me, Deep South, this is not typical things that people buy. The ones I can get is these little tiny ones, and that does not suit me when you need cups worth of mustard seed, so I order mine on Amazon. So, but I think this year I am going to just try it, and I'll end up having to order more mustard seed. I'm going to try using the dark mustard instead of the yellow mustard this year and just see what happens. So you can't ruin it. It'll just make it more robust because each mustard has a different flavor balance. One is more predominant, which is the dark, versus the light, which is a little bit more milder. So as much as this tasted fantastic, I'm just going to give it a try and see what happens. If I don't like it, I do have enough yellow that I can make some more, so it's not going to hurt me either way it goes. I'm going to get more Dijon on my shelf because these 4 jars are just not going to make it. So let's go to the kitchen, let's have some fun, let's make some special mustard. We know that October's coming around. We still like our beer brats and Oktoberfest mustard. Oh yeah, I could just, Lord, let's go to the kitchen, y'all. Before we start cooking, y'all, I thought I'd give you something kind of cute. Can a tiny cabin have its own coffee bar? You betcha. Actually, this for me is a coffee and tea bar. So I got my little teas and all over here all stacked up, and then different variety of coffees and everything. So, and I love fall. I do. I love fall like people love Christmas. So we're actually in those times we put on a sweater in the morning because it's nice and cool, and regret it in the afternoon because it starts getting warm. But fall is coming. So what we're going to do, I am fixing to go ahead and make me up some coffee. Let's see. We're going to make a, what is this one? No, that's pumpkin spice. I think I'm going to go with a caramel creme. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So we're going to turn the Keurig on, get this ready, and then we're going to start our mustard. Okay, my family, so we are going to start out with the beginning of this is in a medium saucepan, stainless steel saucepan. We need to combine our beer and brown mustard seeds. Now we need 1.5 cups of beer. Now what I am going to be doing is an Oktoberfest. You want to kind of use a dark beer for a robust flavor. The tips suggested in the book that although any type of beer can be used to make this mustard, dark beers will produce a more robust flavor and color. Their malty character shines through to create a very balanced flavor. Hoppier beers will produce a mustard that is notably more bitter in flavor. So I am actually going to, because these had just come out, they're here for the next 2 months, I am going to be using Oktoberfest. It says that 12 ounces will be enough, but we're going to measure that. So, and this is not a super dark beer. It's kind of like more of a milder. The darker you have, the more robust. And so I'm kind of picking and choosing my battles here. And basically one that's more affordable because I don't normally buy beer. So I need 1.5 cups of my dark beer. So there's our 1 cup, and 12 ounces just might be enough, y'all. And I need 1/2 cup from there, 1.5. Yes. So 12 ounces for sure is exactly 1.5 cups, y'all. So 1 bottle will work. I kind of do that. It's kind of the extra things I didn't have to do, but I also wanted to know. So this is awesome. I ended up getting a 6-pack because it wound up cheaper just doing that. So, and it wasn't refrigerated. This one was refrigerated because we had beer brats not long ago. So I decided to go ahead and use this. The others are just sitting in my pantry so I can make other things out of it. So now at this point I need to dry off my 1 cup measuring cup, because now I need 1 cup of brown mustard seeds. So I'll be right back as soon as I do this. Okay, y'all, so I apologize for that. Now I'm going to take 1 cup of our brown mustard seed. We're going to add it to our Oktoberfest beer. Mix this in really well. And on medium-high heat, we're going to bring this up to a boil. So I want to make sure that I get all these seeds coated. Now this is the one that we'll be able to work in a whole day. So I'm going to get to a certain point with this, and then we're going to go ahead and set up our Dijon at the same time, because that one's got to sit an entire 24 hours. So we're going to be preparing both of our mustards, but basically only canning one of our mustards today. So it still has its own process. So now that all of my mustard seeds are under the beer, I'm going to heat this up, wait till this heats up, bring it to a boil, and then we are going to completely turn this off the heat. So once this comes to a boil, I will come back and show you what we're going to do for the next step. Okay, y'all, so our mustard has just now come up, or our seeds has just now come up to boil, as you can see. So I'm actually going to put it in this container. I pulled it off of the heat, and I'm going to add this in this container. Make sure I get all of my seeds out of here along with the beer. I'm going to cover this up, and now I'm going to allow this to sit for 2 hours. So after the 2 hours, we will come back and bring this back out and proceed to finish off our recipe. I will tell you though, this recipe is not made for a diabetic. This will have brown sugar in it. Now, for the whole entire recipe, which makes approximately 5 4-ounce jars, it uses a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, lightly packed. Now, you can get traces of brown sugar between those, about, I'm going to say anywhere from 1/4 to a teaspoon in that process of those jars. So you can risk just a little bit if you wanted to. And I think that's what my husband's going to do. I have yet to find a way I can do this without, basically by using sugar-free items. I can try to do that, but I don't think it's cannibal. So if you wanted to try it to put it in your refrigerator, you can. But like I said, I don't know what the chemical reaction would, using, for instance, a swerve brown sugar in with a beer. I don't know. These are things that have never been tried before. So my husband may take a chance with this, but I do know the Dijon, he can safely eat that Dijon and it does not affect him. So we're going to go with this. So while this is waiting for 2 hours, we're going to go ahead and get set up and do our Dijon mustard, because that one has to sit for 24 hours. So we will be right back. Okay, so we are now going to switch canning books. Now this one, the Dijon, this one is in the all new Ball canning book, Canning and Preserving. That's that blue one right here. So this one consists of, it should make 6 4-ounce jars, so it says. So we are going to go ahead and use this recipe and get this started, because this one has to sit overnight or 24 hours. So I'm going to get the ingredients started. We need right now about 2 cups of chopped onions. And now this will not be pureed. This is going to be strictly for flavoring, so it doesn't have to be perfectly chopped up nicely. I actually have some onions that need to be chopped up, so this is perfect to use this in this recipe. We're going to go ahead and get 2 cups worth of chopped onions. And this is going to have to be heated up in a saucepan too. So the first 7 ingredients are coming in here. So, I mean, just bite-sized pieces are absolutely fine too. So actually, let me go ahead and get a different saucepan, because this is going to need a bit bigger size. So I shall be right back. Okay, y'all, so now we're going to work on the next one. We need 2 cups of chopped onions, 6 cloves of coarsely chopped garlic. I need 1 teaspoon of salt, one, 2, 3, 6, 7. Okay. Okay. Let's see, we need, sorry y'all, that's hubby on the phone at the same time. Okay, it says combine the first 7 ingredients in a large stainless steel or enamel saucepan. Bring it to a boil, reduce heat, and simmer uncovered for 15 to 20 minutes or until onion is very soft. So the first 7 ingredients is our onion. We need 2 cups. Now, dry white wine. You can use what is suggested in here is a Pinot or another dry wine, which I have used before. I do have both. I do have just a regular dry white wine. I go with the cheaper one. It does not have to be fancy, y'all. You can use a Chardonnay. So I'm going to finish this Chardonnay on this, but I did order, or not order, but I did go to my liquor store and I bought a bottle of Pinot. So I'm not using anything fancy, just so you know. It's just for mustard. So, and I need to finish off this Chardonnay, so we're going to do that. I need 1 cup of this. I'm going to put this over here so I don't dump that. I need to dry out my measuring cup. We need 2 cups of this. So I'm probably going to end up getting the Pinot as well. There's 1 cup. Nope. Wow. Talk about lucky. Exactly 2 cups of my Chardonnay. That was nice. So I still have a full bottle of Pinot that I can use for another time. That was amazing. Okay, so now our next ingredient is 1 cup of white wine vinegar. Now you want to make sure that your vinegar has 5% acidic. You do not want to use anything less, and especially nowadays, y'all, even with regular white vinegar, check your acidity. Please make sure that it is 5%. Now on here, it will be in the ingredients list on this Pompeian style. It depends on what kind. You get whatever white wine vinegar works for you. Just make sure that it has 5%. Now I need 1 cup of this. And we're going to add that. And again, I am going to go with a brown mustard seed for this Dijon this time. I just kind of want to see what the flavor would be versus the lighter color that I have. So we'll see how that works. I added my 1 teaspoon of salt. I added my 6 cloves of garlic, and I need 4 black peppercorns, it suggests. Go by your preferences, but I'm going to add a couple. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 rosemary sprig. Now I don't have a sprig of rosemary, so I'm basically just going to use about a teaspoon of dried rosemary. Just like so. So now I'm going to bring this mixture, just like the other one, I'm going to bring it up to a boil. It says here, bring it to a boil over high heat, and then reduce the heat and simmer uncovered for 15 to 20 minutes or until onions are very soft. Stir occasionally and then remove from heat. So we're going to go ahead and bring this up to a boil. We'll let it simmer, and then 15 to 20 minutes later, we'll be right back. Okay, y'all, so our mixture for our Dijon has finally reached this point. The onions are cooked, and so we're just going to take we're looking for just the broth. The rest of this isn't really going to matter. You can use the rest of this in some kind of dish later on if you wanted to, or whatever, but all we want is that broth from this. So I'm going to make sure that I get just that. I'm going to squeeze this just a little bit because I want to make sure I can get all the liquid out that I possibly can. Just like so. Okay, so now I'm just going to take this because we're going to discard that, really. I know it seems like a waste, but like I said, if you want to save it, you can save it for something. I want to get these rosemary pieces. This is why they say sprigs, but I didn't have any. I can just remove these pieces. There was only 2 anyway, so it's just a couple. It ain't going to matter. Alright, so now that I have that strained, there's another piece right there. Now we're going to go ahead and add 1/3 cup of dry mustard. And 1 cup of, this one says yellow mustard seed. I told you I am going to test out using the dark mustard or the brown mustard, so I'm going to take 1 cup of that and I'm going to add it. Now I'm going to mix this up really good. From here, after this gets mixed up, mixing all these ingredients together, this one is going to sit for 24, no more than 48 hours. So this is going to actually just sit up in here, covered and on the side on the counter somewhere, and allow it to do its thing. And then as soon as the rest of the 2 hours are up, we will be back, and I will be working on the Oktoberfest mustard, finishing that one out, and then we'll go ahead and begin our process. But as far as this Dijon, now nothing will happen to this until tomorrow. But basically, to recap what I'm about to do, what I do with this one, the Oktoberfest, when it comes to pureeing it and all that, basically going to be the same steps as this one. So I will include the recipe in this one and the instructions on how to can it, but I probably won't do a follow-up video on it because all the mustard is just basically going to come out to the same thing, same time. So I'm just going to take this and cover it just like so. And then I'm going to leave this, well, I'm going to wait till it cools off first, actually. So, ooh, that's a good seal. So I'm just going to lay this on top right now. And we're going to allow this to sit for 24, no more than 48 hours. So, after this one here is finished on its 2-hour mark on the Oktoberfest one, we will come back and finish the rest of our mustard. Okay, y'all, we are back. So now it has been 2 hours since we did our first on the Oktoberfest mustard. So I did start smelling the Dijon. Y'all, smells kind of like the store-bought one already, but it's got a long way to go. So at this point, I'm actually going to put a seal on that mustard at the moment. So at this point, back to Oktoberfest. So we are going to take our mustard. It has now absorbed the seeds. Let's see if I can show you some of this. Has absorbed some of the, or a lot of the liquid. So we're just going to put it all inside of a blender right now. Juice and all, brine as you per se want to call it. Make sure you get all of your mustard seed in here as well. And we're going to puree this up. Now it does say to leave it kind of grainy. You don't want to puree it really good like I'm actually going to do with the Dijon. This one here is kind of grainy. But you don't want to leave it super chunky either. So now that I got all of my liquid and all of my seeds in here, I am going to puree my mustard up, and once I come back and get it to where the consistency that I need, it says, in a blender or food processor fitted with a metal blade, puree marinated seeds and any remaining liquid until blended and most seeds are well chopped. And it says in parentheses or explanations, you want to retain a slightly grainy texture. So at this moment, we're going to go ahead and do that, and we will be back as soon as I reach that consistency. Okay, y'all, so this is an absolute grainy texture. I kind of would have liked it to be a little less than this, but lesson learned. Hubby, God love him, he bought me a blender, only the blender is basically a smoothie icy blender, not a particular all-purpose type of blender, so it makes it hard on stuff like this. But anyways, we're going to continue on. So what it says next, after we did the pureeing of this, now we're going to transfer this to a stainless steel pot, just like we're doing right here. And we're going to whisk in water, which is 1 cup of water. We need vinegar, which is a 1/2 cup of malt vinegar. Again, you want to use 5% acidity. No promotion. One I know for a fact has 5% is the Heinz malt vinegar. So we're going to use a 1/2 cup of this, and I'm going to pull the little top off of it to make it easier. Oh, I love the smell of malt vinegar. It's really good on fish too. I need a half a cup of lightly packed brown sugar. So you don't want to compact it real bad. Now this is the one I said, it's a hit or miss. It's not really made for a diabetic. You can use it in small portions though. So now I'm going to just take and kind of lightly pack my here's my brown sugar. I honestly cannot wait to try this. Now it will be a couple weeks before I'm able to taste it, just like the Dijon, because like pickles, it's one of those fine things that gotta wait for time. I'm gonna move this over here. Not sure, I'll find my twist tie somewhere. And now we're going to add our dry mustard, which is 1/4 cup of dry mustard. Okay, we are going to take some of this and break it down a little bit because it's really clumpy, y'all. That way I don't get more than I need. Mustard is one of those ingredients that no matter what you do, it will gather up in clumps, so. And I could sift this too. Okay, now maybe I can get 1/4 cup out of this. There we go. Scrape it off from the top. Alright, our 1/4 cup dry mustard, and then we need 1 tablespoon of onion powder. Now, you'd probably think, how am I going to get that mustard back into its container? That's the easy part. I put a funnel over it, pop it in there, seal that bad boy up, and away we go. Alright, now we get 1 tablespoon of our onion powder, and then we're going to mix this up really good. You ever have just one of those days, y'all? Alright. I'm going to clean up our mess here too. Alright, now I'm going to take my whisk and I'm going to mix all of this up. And then again, we're going to bring this back onto the stove and we're going to cook this. Alright, so the next step is we're going to put this on the stove. We're going to bring it to a boil over medium-high heat, stirring constantly. We're then going to reduce the heat to a medium and boil gently, stirring frequently until volume is reduced by 1/3. And that's going to be about 15 minutes. So we're going to put this over by the stove, and I'm going to set you up to see this. Alright, y'all. So now I'm going to put this on medium-high heat. Not said to stir constantly. In the meantime, Dijon is sitting over here, and I'm fixing to move that now. The canner is loaded with 4-ounce canning jars, and it's heating the jars up. So I'm gonna have to go get some lids for it. This one makes about 5 4-ounce jars, they say, so we'll see how that goes. But we're just going to go ahead and cook this like it says and reduce it by 1/3. Once that happens, I will come back and we will continue the rest of our canning process. Okay, y'all, our mustard is now finished. I'll go ahead and show you what this looks like. It has now been reduced for about 1/3. It took almost 15 minutes, not all of it, but I think there's about a minute left. So this is nice and thick, and I will tell you, be careful, this does splatter. It did not say to cover it because you do have to stir it frequently to keep it from being burnt at the bottom. So this was a mess, but it's well worth it. Now the scent, my goodness, if I could describe a nice spicy mustard, that's what this is. It's got a beautiful spicy scent, and honestly I cannot wait. It'll take about a week before I can actually taste this, but I'm gonna look forward to it. Now we're gonna go ahead and fill up our 4-ounce jars. We are going to come up to a 1/4 inch headspace for this. And again, this is water bath canning. So I'm going to get my little jars out. Now the recipe says this is supposed to make 5. I kind of think it's going to make more than that, but we'll see. I do have more just in case, because it's like one of those things. Sometimes they say a certain amount and you'll end up with more or less. So this time I think we may or may not end up with more. So I'm going to go, instead of just a ladle with this, I'm going to go with something smaller because these are small jars. We're just going to take and fill up. Then I'm going to get a smaller spatula as I work with this as well. We're going to fill this up to 1/4 inch space. Now I have to put some more of that in there. I'm just going through and filling up our little jars here. And like I said, I will be going back and measuring this out. Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna end up with more than 5 jars, which is good for me. I don't mind that at all, y'all. I still got to debubble too, so. Alright, that's 5 right there. And we still have some more. So let me go through here and make sure first that these are at their adequate amount, because we're not going to pinch off on anything. It absolutely needs a 1/4 inch space, so I'm going to come through here. Now I'm going to use a chopstick on this, because these are kind of delicate. Now this one automatically, I know I can see, definitely needs some more. So, and I have some around my ring here, so I'm going to use every bit I can to fill these up. Just like so. Now I also want to take all the bubbles out of here, so. And this will be good for bratwurst. This will be good for marinades. Anytime you want a fall spicy mustard flavored of anything. Alright, so now I'm going to take my chopstick and I'm going to come through here. I want to make sure that there are absolutely no air bubbles in this at all. just like so. I'm going to stir this around. Make sure there's no air pockets anywheres. And then just lightly tap it down. Come back here with this one the same way. Now I do know I'm going to have to fill this one back up more. I see that. And this one as well. Coming through here. Just as you see that. And then this one right here. And yeah, I'm definitely going to have to fill some of these up. We'll be cleaning this rim off in a minute too. So using my smaller spatula, and I think I'm going to start doing that with the rest of these as well. This is just kind of what I call a delicate job anyways. So I'm going to come through here and I'm just going to add some more mustard to each of these jars till I get 1/4 inch headspace. That's just about right there on that one. And I will be using my debubbler stick to measure this out as well. That one needs more for sure. Okay, now we're going to measure it and see where we're at. The 1/4 inch mark is going to be right here at this very first tip. I don't know if you can see that right there. That first tip right here is 1/4 at that mark at the bottom. So I'm going to use that, measure these out, make sure all of them will touch that. Yep. And these are good to go. So now we're going to take and clean our rims with vinegar. Y'all, I'm getting some in a dish. I'm going to use a paper towel on this, and I'm going to go along the edge line so that I want to make sure there's absolutely nothing on these edges. All I want is mustard on the inside and clean edges, because I want a beautiful seal on these. So I said that 1 spoon I first used was just slightly too big for this. Open this up more and come on the other side of it. Get some more vinegar. But, I mean, I am happy. I did get my 5 4-ounce jars that it said, but I'm going to get then some. So, this is absolutely amazing, and I am absolutely happy. I have not tried this yet, so I could test it now, but I will tell you what I'll find out. It'll be very strong. Everything is not married together and settled like a good pickle. You got to let it settle first, or it's just going to be probably unpleasant. I've heard a lot of people say that, so we want to give these at least a week. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my lids on. And then we've got our rings to put on here. Now we'll get our rings. And these little bad boys are hot. Oosh. Okay. Didn't want to do that. And just fingertip tight. Put this in my water bath canner. Oosh. That's hot, y'all. Look at this. I don't know if you can actually see that. Nice mustard seeds in it. Now let's see how many more after the allotted amount it said what we can get. I can't tell you how happy I am just for one bottle of beer, y'all. And this beer is running, Lord have mercy, some places around here tried to charge me $10.99 for a small 6-pack. And it is a specialty. And I will just tell you, it's only around for 2 months. So, I mean, I can get it. But this one that I bought was like $7.50. So, I might not get enough. Out of one more jar, this might be my extra for the refrigerator, which is okay. I mean, I'm not going to can this. I'm just going to go ahead and pop this one in my refrigerator. So we did get 5, and I'm happy with that. I didn't get less, so I got a little over 5. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this in the fridge, and I'm going to let it sit there for a week before I use it. And that way I don't have to can that one up. So, I mean, that's almost a full jar, y'all. Can't complain. See right there? So, we're going to let that cool off, and then we'll put that in the refrigerator. So, in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get our jars. I got one more in here I need to take out. Like that. So, now I'm going to go ahead and pop a lid on this. And we're going to go ahead and process these. At this point, we're going to bring this up to a rolling boil. Get this lid on here. Bring that down there. Bring it up to a rolling boil after we have this. And we're going to process this for 10 minutes. Then we're going to remove it from the canning, or remove the lid at that point. Wait 5 minutes, and then we can move our jars. So I'm going to bring this up to a boil. I'm going to set my clock for 10 minutes after it comes up to its rolling boil. And then after this is finished, in approximately 15 minutes from the time it starts to boil, we will be back and I will show you the final product. And here we are, y'all. A little 4-ounce Oktoberfest beer mustard. Just coming out of the canner now. So, I did get a chance to taste it, and it is very strong right now. So, I do have to give it, unfairly, I've got to give it 1 week, just like I have to do with the Dijon. Now, when it comes to the Dijon, hear those pops? That's a happy camper. So we got 2 out of 5. So now it comes, wait, that's the Oktoberfest. That one is completely finished. And you can actually do the Oktoberfest in 1 day. But the Dijon takes, like I said, anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. So after you because I'm not going to do a video on that one, after you allow your Dijon mustard to sit for 24 or 48 hours, no more than that, the next process would be just like we did the Oktoberfest. You'll go in a blender, you'll blend up your mustard. Now this one you want it to like an oatmeal consistency, so just like cooked oatmeal, that is. And then you want to transfer your mustard to a small saucepan. Bring it to a boil, stirring often. Reduce your heat and simmer uncovered for 5 minutes. Now, I will tell you, when you go to process, and I will have the recipe for you, when you go to process your Dijon mustard in your blender, it is showing that it will take anywhere from about 2 2/3 cup of water that you're going to add to this. Now, keep an eye on it. The last year when I done this, when I blended it up with my water, I didn't pour it all in at once, y'all. I did do this a little at a time till it looked like I got the oatmeal consistency, And then when I put it in my pot, it actually ended up being a little bit more thicker, so I had to add some more water. So keep an eye on it. Don't just dump your water in it when I give you these instructions. Be mindful with the fact is you may need all of it, you may need more, and you may need less. Go based by what you think is consistency of cooked oatmeal and go from there. And then all you're going to do, just like the Oktoberfest, you're going to fill up 4-ounce jars, hot jars with your hot liquid after that 5 minutes to 1/4 inch headspace. Debubble it, finger tight with your lids, clean off your rims with vinegar, seal them up, and then you're going to process this mustard again for 10 minutes in a water bath canner. Then you're going to turn off your heat, wait 5 minutes, and then remove your jars from the canner. So this one here is pretty much the same amount. Now with this mustard, you're supposed to get about 6 4-ounce jars, so I will see how much I get on this. So basically that's it. This is making your own Dijon mustard, and I will tell you, since I have done this last year, I honestly have not bought store-bought Dijon mustard. I thoroughly enjoy this recipe that much. You know, these are cookbooks we don't really see people use often, and honestly I don't see why not, because these are amazing recipes in these books. They stick to the basics, and I'm kind of not just the basics person. This is the one that has like Better Than Bush's baked beans in them, the ones that have Oktoberfest mustards. I honestly cannot wait. I am fixing to stock up on some bratwurst, to be honest with you. I like to slow cook them in beer, Oktoberfest beer, and having that mustard on it, oh Lord have mercy. My Christmas ham, I like having this Dijon on top of that. It's fantastic with a salmon, baked salmon. You make dressings out of this. There is so many ways. That's the reason why I went through so many. I think I ended up last year making 2 dozen, which is crazy, I know, but I made 2 dozen jars of Dijon mustard, and I have 4 jars left. So that tells you how often I used it and how much I thoroughly enjoy it. I could see and it's kind of like a spicy mustard. The Oktoberfest would be great with some honey in it, so using it with little smokies. Putting it on some ham and cheese sandwiches, that would be fantastic. So there are so many ways you can use this mustard. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you give this a chance, and if not, I just hope you enjoyed being in the kitchen with me for just a little while. Until next time, much love to each and every one of you, and I sincerely mean that, y'all. You have helped me. We are almost at 2,600 subscribers, and I couldn't be more blessed to have you all with the family. So we've got so much more to work with. So until next time, let's see what we can get into in this kitchen. Much love to you from Parton's Heritage Homestead.